Hello everyone. Today let us learn the important coming to the variation. Variation is important because it causes evolution and it is the basis of heredity. It is advantageous to the population as it enables few individuals to adapt to the environmental changes, thus enabling the survival of the population. So now let us see the definition of heredity. What do you mean by heredity? Heredity refers to the genotype, that is the genetic makeup of an organism. The study of heredity is called as genetics, and Gregor Johann Mendel was the person who invented experiments on this. And Gregor Mendel is considered to be the founder of this branch of science. He worked with a garden pea and did years of research involving traits like height, seed shape and flower color among others. When he self-crossed the F1 generation, among them 34th of the progenies were tall, whereas only the 14th were short. Thus he concluded that although the F1 progeny had both tall and short traits, only the tall plants were observed in the F1 generation, which meant that tallness is the dominant trait. Thus, tallness is the dominant trait in the Mendel experiment. So this is the parental generation where capital TT and small tt. Capital TT represents the tallness of the trait and small tt represents the dwarfness. These are the gametes, that is the capital T and small t are the gametes. In the F1 generation you get a hybrid that is known as that is capital T and small t, that is called as the hybrid, that is containing both the genes for tallness and the dwarfness. This is the F1 generation, and this is the F2 generation, pure breeding F2 individuals. So as the pea plant experiments were conducted, here you can see the yellow and round triad and green and wrinkled triad. These were the generations. They were crossed to get the ratio of 9:3:3:1 in F2 generation. That is round yellow pea plant, that is the triad for round yellow and wrinkled green, both they were crossed in F2 generation. The F2 generation produced a phenotype of round yellow, round green, wrinkled yellow, wrinkled green in the ratio 9:3:3:1. This is called as independent inheritance of the separate traits, that is the shape and the color of the seeds. So what is the importance of DNA copying in reproduction? Chromosomes contain DNA, that is deoxyribonucleic acid, which is the genetic material, and it provides the information for the production of proteins, body design and the function of the cell. DNA is transferred from parent to offspring, so offsprings may be identical to parent to some extent. What is the variation? Why is variation beneficial to the species but not necessarily for some individuals? Variations make the organisms to adapt to the environmental conditions or changes. Example, survival of the organisms is suddenly increased or decreased. These variants help the organisms to survive at harsh conditions, but all variations are not necessarily beneficial to the individual organisms. So this is how DNA copying is responsible for the reproduction process. So now let us see the difference between the acquired and the inherited traits. What do you mean by acquired traits? Acquired traits are the traits which are acquired during the process of life. Inherited traits are the traits which are got from our birth. So let us see that the difference between the acquired traits and the inherited traits. Acquired trait means these are the traits which are developed in an individual due to special conditions. Due to special conditions, these acquired traits are obtained. Whereas the inherited traits, these are the traits which are passed from one generation to next generation. From our parents we get those traits, that is inherited. Acquired trait means they cannot be transferred to the progeny because they have got these acquired traits are obtained during our lifetime, not from our birth. So they cannot be transferred to our progeny. But inherited traits can be transferred to the progeny. Progeny means the next generation. The third point is that these acquired traits, they cannot direct evolution. Evolution is not possible. But inherited traits, they are helpful in evolution. So let us see the definition of speciation. Speciation. What do you mean by speciation? The origin of new species from the existing one due to the reproductive isolation of a part of its population is called as the speciation. Another term is the evolution. What do you mean by evolution? Evolution means it is a process of accumulation of the genetic differences in the living organisms over the period and generating new varieties of the living organisms. Examples of evolution is Darwin explained in his theory of the evolution of natural selection how the nature selects a reproductively fit organism over the others. This is the definition for evolution.